On this week's episode of Into Geek. In 2002, Christopher Nolan was coming off of three moderately successful films, Insomnia, The Following, and Memento, which garnered much praise from critics and even netted Nolan an Oscar nomination. Nolan's third project was a passion project involving people stealing other people's dreams, but the script was shelved as Nolan didn't have the experience to helm a movie of this magnitude, especially one which would cost over $100 million to make. Instead, Nolan would get another chance to prove his box office potential when he was handed the reins to the new Batman franchise. Nolan's dark style and practicality was a perfect fit, as all three movies would go on to rock the box office to a tune of over $1 billion. Not to mention a few Oscars that would be awarded to the second film of the series, The Dark Knight, which is still heralded as the greatest comic book film of all time. During Nolan's acclaimed run on the Batman series, he would keep his dark direction muscles loose while doing a smaller film, The Prestige. While not a juggernaut at the box office, The Prestige still got the attention of fans and critics and showed that Nolan was still oozing creativity. In 2008, Nolan's original script, which would later become Inception, was greenlit and started production in 2009. $800 million and 4 Academy Awards later, Inception is still talked about a decade after it was made. For its style, amazing cast, incredible score, and an ending that almost defines the word ambiguity. Inception has been talked to death and has praise and disdain on both sides of the aisle, but there's a reason this film is held in such high regards amongst all levels of film geek. Let's dive deeper one more time as we get into Geek with Inception. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show this week, fellow geeks. This week we're going to get a little deep. We're going to get a little geek into the film Inception. I don't know. I was just wondering about films I haven't seen in a while, and I decided to really break that down. And Chase and I agree that it deserved a second look through. Chase, what did you think on your 102nd watch of this movie?
It's not my 102nd. It's like my 10th.
Nice.
10's a good number.
So, I mean, I haven't really watched it from a introspection style coming at it and everything with, really film geek eyes on it. I mainly watched it like normal purposes. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to really go back at it and try and see what we can catch on a more thorough playthrough. So we're going to break this down in 3 segments because I think that's probably the best way to go at this. The first is going to be just what we took away from the film, what was the message that we got from Nolan himself, and just what we thought of the movie was trying to say to us personally. The second one is the introspection. We're going to go into heavy fan theory to try and see what the film was actually about. If Cobb was dreaming at the end, if that even matters. And the last is the film impact, how this affected other films, how it affected the actors, and pretty much where it lands now on the overall spectrum. So kicking it off, what did the film mean to you, Chase?
To me, it pretty much sums up live your life. I mean, don't live in a dream world. Live your life. I mean, that's what it does. He gets stuck in dreams, lives his life, but I don't know. It makes you just want to live your life now, be in the present, be in the now. Is what I kind of got out of it. Okay,
I think a lot of people think that it's very ambiguous, and that's the theme is that you just don't know. What I got from it is I think it's about guilt. A lot of the time, the character he's struggling. Because he kind of can't move on in life, and I think it's because he's being held back by his choices that he made years ago, and that he's been running from them ever since. And so every time he sees, he won't allow himself to let his wife go because I think a part of him is afraid to be happy, which is why he doesn't want to see his children, because he knows that once he sees his children, he accepts the fact that he's allowed to be happy, but he doesn't believe that he's worthy of that happiness. And so I think that a lot of that is him struggling the film and him coming to terms that he's allowed to finally let go at the end and everything.
Oh man, I definitely think guilt is a big part of the movie. But that's why I kind of got he's got to live his life. He's got to let go of his guilt. So it goes kind of a little hand in hand.
Okay. I think we both kind of have the same feeling there and theme and everything. I think the more fun thing to talk about this film is all of the fan theories.
There's tons.
There's so many. So what was your original theory when you watched it 10 years ago?
You mean like the end of the movie, like
Just,
or
just in general, I mean, like how originally, how deep did you go? Did you think that it was just about the very end with his totem like wobbling, or was there more there?
you're definitely left after seeing it the first time, kind of thinking about that. But it's the movie. It's very long, but it's so I don't know. It's done. It's so kind of confusing that first time you see it. That's why, like, I've seen it 10 times, pretty much. Like, it's multiple views. You pick up something new every time you see it. So, like,
I'll definitely say this is the fourth time that I've seen it, and after I watched it, I was like, I really want to watch it again because I have so many other questions, and like I wanted to like go back and check them out. But the problem was that it's like a 3 hour movie.
yeah, it's really long.
So long, and you're just like, ugh. All right, okay. So immediately how it started, I put on my little hat, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and check out every little thing that happens here. So from the jump, I also turned on my subtitles so I could catch every little quote, every little word. And I noticed that the theme that it opens with, the theme that is their catalyst, their you kick, is a French song. The title is, I'm gonna murder this, Non je ne regrette rien, which basically translates it to English as "No, I do not regret anything." And I think that is a constant theme throughout the movie. It's all about like letting, and basically with the song, the person singing it is trying to say is that they have bad regret and good regret, but they eventually have to let both go to then like move on. And so I think that is like this overarching theme is that it's about Leo being able to like go home, right? Okay, so let me ask you this: do you think he's dreaming at the end?
No.
Okay, why do you not think he's dreaming?
Just like I mean, I don't know. I've read a whole bunch about this movie and stuff, so I kind of know some stuff Christopher Nolan said, so it kind of has warped my mind a little bit. But it's one thing is like Michael Caine in the movie represents reality.
Okay.
So every scene he's in, like that is real life, and at the end of the movie, he is in that scene.
He is.
Yes. You go the other way.
I don't think it matters.
Oh no, it doesn't. I really don't.
I don't think it matters because I don't think that was a point of the story. But if we're just going off of just that specific thing, I think he is dreaming, and this is why. I think that once they get to Mombasa, it's all a dream. And on top of that, I don't think I don't think the story is even about Murphy. I think it's all about Cobb. I think that Michael Caine got together a team to put the Inception into Leo.
Okay, that's some super fan there.
All right, so if you go through it, there are multiple lines, and so you constantly have all these moments where they talk about like going deeper and deeper. There's a lot of people who continuously talk to Leo and say things like, "I don't want to be an old man filled with regret." It's said 3 times in the film to him specifically. A person tells him to come back to reality. They always talk about how when you're doing the whole extraction thing, there's this feeling of it's almost like a film where you never know how it started. And so if you notice that from Mombasa, everything starts in the middle of a scene. There's no beginning to tell you how it goes. Not only that, when he dreams in Mombasa, there's a scene of him in the bathroom and he's about to start turning his totem. He gets interrupted. It hits the ground. He never touches it again for the entire rest of the movie. And I waited and waited and waited. So he never checked himself again to see reality. I think that he lost himself in limbo years and years ago. And he has refused to come out. And so I think that Caine, knowing that his kids needed a father, basically got all these other people together to then incept him with the idea to allow himself to go home finally and to not be like an old man. So I think that they incepted the idea for him to not want to be an old man who grows up with regret, which is what we hear at the very beginning of the movie and at the very end of the movie, because it never shows how he actually gets out of there. It just flashes, and then all of a sudden he's in awake on the plane. So even if he's dreaming or not dreaming at the end, I think that he's accepted his fate and that he's allowed to actually be happy or whatever. But further, this is the character by Ellen Page, whose name is Ariande or like Ariande.
I can't pronounce it.
Okay, so her name is a direct correlation to a character in Greek myth. She is a daughter of Minos, and she helped Theseus escape the maze. And then it's referred to many times that these dreams are set up like mazes. Maul, which her name in French basically means bad, she is the embodiment of the character known as the Minotaur. I think that she's chasing Leo around in his dreams, and it's Ellen Page's character that actually comes in to give him a way out, and so he's been trapped, basically, whatever. That was like kind of like my big thing is that I think that it's all about him. I don't think that it's even like about Murphy.
I don't know. I mean, like filming the movie, I understand where you're coming from, but then like they're showing that the Inception worked and all that stuff. Like, why even have all that?
I think that you had to come at it at such a degree of difficulty that his mind wouldn't know that he was being like incepted upon. So I think that they had to create a certain amount of stakes that things would appear to him as to be real.
See, like when they keep telling him, you don't be an old man with regret. I feel like he did that. That's why he escaped with Maul, because she didn't want to leave. So he inception her, and like we gotta get back to our life, our kids.
Or what if Maul was correct, and that she actually did kill herself and actually did get to go home, and he's the one trapped like in limbo still. That she was like, hey, like,
look, she jumps out the window.
Yeah. Okay. What if like in actuality he just refused to actually wake up, and that it's actually been about him trapped in limbo because he was so like what if his thought process was of Maul's or whatever instead?
That's an interesting theory.
And then for a little bit there, I thought that Ellen Page was actually trying to get him to admit to killing her. That I thought that there was some kind of like overarching thing where like he's been. So for a little bit, I thought that he was basically in the like drug hut in like Mombasa where all the guys go in and sleep, right? A little bit of me thought that he's been there drugging himself for years and years, and basically avoiding being in trouble for him, basically like killing his wife or whatever. And so since Inception is such like a radical, you can't really treat that as murder. That they had people go into his brain to have him admit it out loud that like he actually did kill her by his actions, so that then he can be tried or whatever. I
don't know how that's going to work in the court of law.
I was like, yeah.
It's a little far out there.
So I had that, and then there's something else here. When they're in the dream world as well, the car colors constantly repeat a certain pattern and stuff, whatever. There's a fan theory that anytime that he's awake, he doesn't have on his wedding ring, and other times he does have his wedding ring on or whatever. Yeah. The problem in general to me with the totems is that.
Oh, I was gonna say the problem with that also, that last scene, you actually don't see his hand.
Yeah.
They cut it off right before you could see if he's wearing it or not.
I mean, like, also the problem is that they talk about that totems can't be touched by other people because then it loses the entire purpose, right? The problem is that that's not his totems. That was his wife's totem, right? And not only that,
I thought that too.
We also see him mess with it inside of the safe. So he already puts in place a reverse thought process that he basically tricks her into thinking that she's not dreaming or something or whatever, which is what caused her to want to wake up all the time because she thinks that she's always in this dream limbo state or whatever. So I mean who's to say that these totems even work at all, because he's the one that was, I'm sorry, his wife was the one that thought of the process or something. There's so much unreliable narration going on and stuff or whatever. You're just damn it.
I mean, they're theories.
It's all theories. The another thing that they talk about is water is it's like a what's the word I'm looking for? It has this subconscious meaning of being asleep or something or whatever, or something. It has something to do with when you're in water, it's this feeling of being dreaming or something or whatever. Yeah. So there's all these scenes of him in water and stuff and doing things like that. There's this constant overarching feeling of that. I don't know. I think that we'll never really know everything going on or whatever. I mean, unfortunately,
I think the movie's made for you make it what you want. So.
But Nolan has said before when people have asked him questions that he said it's all there. So so to him it's not ambiguous. He thinks that he put enough evidence in there to kind of show you what's real and what's not real.
Like one of the big real things is at the very end. It's one reason why I thought it was real. Like he's in his real life, you actually see his kid's face. Every other time you don't.
True.
And then when he's in reality, or at least I think he's in reality, he sees his kid's face.
The problem with that to me is I think that he had earlier, about like 20 minutes before that, before Healy kills Maul, she tries to call over the kids. And every time up into that, he's refused to see their faces, because as soon as he sees their faces, he knows that he'll just accept that as his fate. And he doesn't want to be like trapped in a dream, and then that's just where he is. Which is why I think at the end he's learned to just like let go, and that like it doesn't like matter anymore. But the kids are also they haven't aged, which is kind of weird or whatever. Their clothes are the exact same in every single sequence that we see.
We don't know how long the difference between he left and Maul.
Yeah,
like the time period.
There's also a quick line from his son that says that they were building houses on top of the sand or something or whatever, which is like almost like a direct correlation. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like there's just so many little things like that.
I did notice, and I mean, could go either way with it. But at the end when he is talking to Maul, like that room is almost the exact same room. He goes and sees Michael Caine and like just the table's the exact table and everything's kind of, but like the scenery kind of in the background's a little different. But I don't know if because he's been in that room, they reimagined it in the world, or is he still dreaming and it's just the same room kind of?
There's also a thing with I was gonna say, it's gone now.
Speaking of, by the way, that song you were talking about, I don't know, it's like the movie is like 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Yes,
and the song is 2 minutes and 28 seconds.
Yeah, so all that's like timed out specifically and everything, which is just really great. I mean, there's so many little nuances like that. Yeah. There's a moment also. There's a number that's always haunting Cobb in the dreams, 2053, which is a reverse of the number on two different safes that he saw. One was Maul's that had her totem, and the other was a safe that he's messing with in a certain scene or whatever. So when the train comes at them, it has like 2053 on it and stuff. And then when like a taxi cabs come by, it's got 2053 because her safe number backwards was 5320 or something or whatever. Just like something stupid and small like that, just like.
Well, I mean, there's one that I thought was kind of interesting, and you don't catch it really the first time you see it, but like early in the movie, he says something like, "I don't like trains." And then you find out the reason why he don't like trains is because he lays in front of one with his wife.
Sure.
So it kind of it's something. I mean, you don't notice that first time you see it, but then the future viewings, you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna kind of plays together.
So I mean, there's things like that. There's just like every little. So basically, to me, I think when they go to Mombasa to find Yusuf and to find. So
you think that's like
Eames.
The movie starts there?
Yeah, I think that at that point, because okay, so like a little bit of evidence here. Okay, he just talks to Arthur, and then he ends up there, and then he sees Eames playing playing like blackjack or baccarat or something, right? They then sit down, start having a conversation. Then random people start coming at him, chasing him, right? And if you notice, these people begin to come out of like nowhere. The crowd begins to randomly hold them back or whatever, right? There's a scene of him traveling through like these like tight alleyways. So much so that he has to like squeeze, and it seems as if it's like closing in him around him, and he pops out on the street, and all of a sudden a car pulls up and it has Sato in it out of nowhere, right? So there's just so many things that happen in like other sequences and dreams or whatever where that just don't make sense. And so these things could all be what are they called, like personal images or
they're
I can't think of the word. Projections.
Projections.
Yeah. So I think that.
But like whose mind are they in then? I think they're not in Cobb's, because he'd be able to control. Yeah. Maul would show up. So they have to have like brought in someone like while they're in that place.
I think it's like a few people. I think that they go 3 layers deep, and so like there's a multitude of people that's like it's happening to because he's so far gone at that point. So I think that he's so deep in limbo that they have to like go layer to layer to layer to layer, and then keep tricking him into, because you keep watching. Like Ellen Page's character lets him make a lot of the choices. So it's not like, even though like she knows what's going on, she purposely pushes the mall agenda on him a few different times, trying to get him to come to terms with it. She's always like, she's always trying to get him to accept people's help about it and stuff. There's just so many little like social cues like that.
I mean, she's also way too good, almost too soon. She's never done it, and she's like, boom, boom, just killing at it.
Yeah,
so she's been trained before.
Yeah, right. So there's so many little things that like you have to like look at, like facial meanings and things or whatever. That to me, I think that the story is about them going into Cobb's mind and tricking him with the idea to accept fate and to just not want to grow old in limbo.
But he does anyway, or I guess he already did that.
Yeah, so I think that they're basically giving him the idea that it's okay to come back.
So you think like he went to the third or fourth layer with Maul.
Yeah,
and then they kicked, and he just went to like another level up. And he was young again, but he was still dreaming. And then Maul, commits suicide. And
yeah.
Like,
I don't know. See, I'm not sure if maybe Maul woke up or whatever, and like maybe he didn't, or maybe he put himself back under after she killed herself or something or whatever. I don't know. I just to me, I feel that is really what's going on here.
You can make a sequel with that.
All right, guys. So those are just a little bit of the ideas and concepts, whatever. But now we're going to talk about the actual movie itself, and how I'm pretty sure that both of us feel that like it's pretty great. I mean, like Nolan is in my top 5 of current directors, and he's probably
Can I ask you a question? Though?
Yeah.
Is there anything about the film you kind of don't like?
Most people's problem with it is there's too much like exposition that like they randomly start talking about things. Like there's a scene, there's a scene when they go into the first layer to like Fisher's mind, and people start chasing them, right? And then like Cobb says, well, like we can't die here because we're so sedated, we'll die. And then right after that, Tom Hardy says the exact same thing back to him, just so the audience knows exactly what's currently at stake, Yeah. So there's a lot of scenes of them standing around explaining things. I mean, like I think like a person timed it. It's like 36 minutes until the actual movie starts, because there's so much like them explaining the current technology and the rules and stuff or whatever. So and then I think it got joked on by South Park that they're saying like, just because something's confusing doesn't mean it's cool, whatever. And so I think that like it's one of those films that has like a lot of style, and I don't know if there's a lot of substance underneath that or whatever. It definitely not on the first take. I think you have to see it a couple times to really like understand what's going on. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's
a very good movie. The only thing I had come from, I don't think the actions really is great. Like,
okay,
when they're in the snow, I guess the third level and it's snowing and everything.
Well, what's funny about that is that is a direct.
For James Bond.
James Bond for Her Majesty's Service, I think, or whatever, and that's because that was Nolan's favorite movie, and like their thinking behind that was that Eames, who is Tom Hardy's character, he views himself as James Bond, like in playing poker and stuff or whatever. So they're in his mind, and so in his mind he's like, well, let's just do Bond or whatever, and stuff. So
which that's kind of a cool idea. It's just some of the action, like I don't know, you watch Tom Hardy plant bombs all throughout this place. I'm like, and like hit the buttons and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, we get it. You put enough bombs like that. Now the action with George Gordon-Levitt. Elevator.
We'll get into that.
Good action.
So that's basically our introspective takes. There's so much there. Now the actual impact of the film itself, I kind of think that this put Nolan bigger than Batman at this point, right? Because he was riding that wave, and so this was his first project after being done with that stuff, and so like it was cool to see him finally get to do a film that he been wanting to do for like 8 years or something or whatever.
Well,
so
like it was the fourth like highest grossing movie of 2010.
It was. I think it was like 828 million or something.
Of the top 10, only 2 were like originals. Everything else is Iron Man 2, Shrek 5, Twilight. Like it was all stuff that's been.
And it had like a whole bunch of like award nominations and stuff. And it won 4, I think, or something. The score by Hans Zimmer is
amazing. I have it on my phone.
It's incredible. It's so incredible though that people copied it, and it's been used in his bong noise. Bong. that noise has been used for like the last 8 years or something for like all types of films, and like it's such this like iconic weird noise whatever now, but like it's it's like the last hour of the film, like his score is just going off from them in the hotel fight scene all the way to like them in limbo. And it has such a complexity to it that it picks up its pace and then drops its pace at certain times that like you always feel like what you're seeing matters because of his score just being like so intense. It's just it's amazing. It's great.
He's the best.
Well, he's not always the best. I'm saying like John Williams is the best.
All right, John Williams is more inspiring.
He's the best.
Okay. He will inspire you.
I think beyond that, the cast is incredible. Yeah. But if you look at it, it's a lot of Nolan people. It's like Michael Caine, Ken.
Oh, I mean, almost all of them. Tom Hardy's done.
Tom Hardy. I mean, like it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. I'm surprised that Christian Bale, Morgan Freeman are not in it. Yeah. It would just be Batman 4 or something. But like I mean, like is it Cillian Murphy or
Cillian or
gotcha. Like he's done mainly all Nolan movies, hasn't he?
Oh, I would too if I was him. Well, he did 28 Days or something like that.
And like he did Red Eye.
Yeah.
With Rachel McAdams, which is a pretty cool movie. It's not great, but like it's pretty fun. Is he also in Interstellar?
I don't know. I saw that once with you.
Yeah, super psychedelic as well. Yeah. Like, and there's a whole lot going on there. But yeah, I think that a lot of the style in this. I mean, like that scene of them sitting in Paris, and then all of a sudden things start like exploding around them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that
was so incredible.
And like how the city lifts up and stuff. And they copied that, like Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah. I mean, they used a lot of new tech.
They ripped them off.
Like, they made it a mirror instead. Yeah. Like there's just so many little like nuance. Like I mean, like the scene of her changing the bridge into like a walkway, and she's like pulling glass and stuff, and like shatters it, and then all of a sudden, like just little techniques like that. And then there's a lot of like really cool like practical effects. The entire fight scene in the hallway is a practical effect of an entire set and everything, whatever. So it's just like it's so smart. It's just like I wonder if he thought of that idea first. It was like, man, like it'd be really cool to like have a fight scene on the walls and stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, let's do a movie about dreams.
I mean, he made Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like a badass.
It's weird. It's like I feel like. Is that his voice, or is he doing like a cool guy voice?
I think he's doing a cool guy voice.
Cool.
Oh, like if you notice, like they're all dressed like just beautiful suits.
I know.
And stuff. I mean, they look
and it's
like
weird
the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
He's older than me, but I feel like he's a little kid. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's because he was on Third Rock from the Sun, but every time I see him, I feel like he's playing a kid playing a like grown up. He
just got baby face.
He does, but I mean, so does. Leo did too for forever, and like now he looks like an adult. I mean,
he does. That's because Leo's almost 50 years old.
it took a while.
He looks 30 now. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like Joseph Gordon-Levitt could walk onto the set of 10 Things That I Hate About You. And like he would just like just like seamlessly fit right back in or something or whatever. It's really strange. This is probably Ellen Page's biggest movie too. You think?
I mean, she was in those X-Men movies, but this is the biggest role.
I mean, like
Juno was
she did Juno, but that was like an indie film.
Yeah,
and that put her on the map. And then I think Inception was like her first real blockbuster, where it was just like, yo, this is Ellen Page, she's blowing up, she's in this. And like Tom Hardy also. I mean, like he was Bane, but like he had a mask on, like And then before that, he did like Bronson or something, which is like a lower movie, which he's very good in that. I'm not going to say he's not, but like this was. I think big for him because without this
was actually the first thing this might have been other than I guess Dark Knight Rises I've seen it man. Did you do this first or?
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises was 2008.
Okay, so this was 2 years.
Yeah, this was after, and then he did that terrible spy movie with Christopher Pine and Reese Witherspoon, I think, where they're just it's awful. I forget the name. Like I watched that like when I was a unit projectionist and everything. But he did that, and then he did
Warrior or something like that.
He did Warrior, and he had something else, and then he did Mad Max, I think, and like he was awesome. I fucking love Fury Road. It's incredible. So I don't know. So I mean, like this kind of like built him up a little bit as well. So it was just an amazing cast. The sound design, the editing, the choices of color and stuff, and uses are not an accident. It's like, I think this is kind of like what Matrix did a little bit to a certain degree, where Matrix came out with this new technology and it revolutionized action with the whole camera angles and stuff and everything, and the slow-mo stuff.
Bullet time.
Yeah, and then this came out and it showed the limits of action in terms of just your mind and doing these incredible escapes of things or whatever. And I think it really pushed those new boundaries. And it still looks good today.
Yeah,
and
it does. I mean, the Matrix really doesn't look that good anymore.
Certain scenes are good.
Scenes,
yeah. I mean, a lot of the wire work looks kind of cheesy now, whatever. And then there's a couple of other scenes where it looks almost. I mean, part 2 looks bad.
Yeah. Because that whole when he fights 100, yeah, that's
100 Agent Smiths. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game. It's not good. But I think Inception still holds up. It's I watched it last night.
10 years, yeah.
It's 10 years, and it still looks good. And I think it's because Nolan refuses to go all digital, and he does a lot of practical effects as well, which really helps. Especially with your actors. So when your actors have something to actually act to, they have much better performances.
Which is really impressive, also because he did it, like that, and it's no 3D. All those, this was the 4th highest grossing movie. It didn't have any 3D money. All the other movies had 3D, and it was big on that.
Yeah.
So it's impressive. In a way, saying when people went and saw it, they actually had to see it there. He didn't want people to get lost. I mean, he knew it was a confusing movie. He didn't want to get people lost in the 3D, so he wouldn't shoot it in 3D at all.
He should have handed out playbills at the very beginning. All right, guys. So this is explaining everything going on.
We're gonna do an intermission at this point.
It's kind of fucking.
He does
confusing.
that with all his movies. All of his movies are super long.
How long was
Interstellar? Was
yeah. Interstellar is long. I mean, and that one looks really gorgeous.
Yeah.
It has a lot of
Hans Zimmer
amazing
kills
scenes.
that one too.
It's just kind of funny that Interstellar. I think I called the ending in the first 20 minutes or something of the thing, but it was just and then we got there, but just
and then we finally got there.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that just. He's really building his style. And what's funny is that, so I'm trying to think of current directors that I really love. And obviously Edgar Wright's on there, obviously Quentin Tarantino.
Oh.
I think he's almost like an amalgam of both these people.
Well, I'm going to say one thing he does both of, they direct and write.
Yeah,
their
true.
own stuff.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I mean, because with Edgar Wright, he has a lot of the fan where he'll purposely put in large amounts of hidden Easter eggs and stuff, whatever. And all these things have... Everything he writes about, every scene he shoots has a purpose beyond what you're currently I can't talk. What you're currently watching. So something that looks really nuanced and stupid, 2 scenes later that now matters. There's a scene in Fury Road, which is directed by George Miller, where Tom Hardy's character is fighting on a truck or something. And his shoe gets pulled off, right? And so it's barely even noticeable, or whatever. But then a scene later, you see him take one of his friend's shoes off, whatever, and throw it on and stuff. And it's so random if you don't. And then later on, after that, he then kills somebody, takes off that guy's shoe.
He's trying to find a better shoe,
and then he gives him to the guy, or whatever again. So, but it's like a little thing. There's no talking. There's no plot points about it. You catch it or it's gone or whatever. And I think that Nolan does a lot of that also. So Quentin Tarantino has a lot of really cool style. A lot of people think that he copies a lot of his stuff or whatever, which I think
everyone does though.
There's some arguing here and there for that or whatever. So I think that Nolan is a good in between, where he has a high amount of intelligence, a high amount of love for film in general, and passion for it, and then there's also this fanboying him to do certain things or whatever.
Yeah. I agree.
Which is really cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. I mean, for letting us rant on